What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. This right here, as you all know, is the podcast where we dive into the deepest, darkest, murkiest waters with a plethora of legendary guests. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the #1 scumbag, Rex Ruger. That's REXXX. You might also know me as AKA the King of Sleaze, AKA the Hair Metal High Priest, and most importantly, AKA Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. If you take one look, should be undeniable that you're looking at the son of glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams. I got a million fans. I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wop Boppa Loo Boppa Wop Bam Bam. Shazam! Hot damn! Woo! I'm feeling good. Of course, everybody in the house, including you all out there, is looking good. For me, that's made possible by, whoa, almost fumbled on the 5-yard line. That's made possible by my favorite product. And spray responsibly out there, kids, and you too could have the quaff like Roth. Coming to you, as always, from the lush lavender lounge of love, and joined, as always, by the Keith Hernandez puppet, number 17 in your programs, #1 in your hearts, 1986, New York Mets, world champion first baseman, and now my right-hand man. Got any problems with it? Too bad. What? This is, of course, a No Frills podcast. You get no frills. We don't know how to give you frills, but we do know how to give you thrills, and that's looking at me and Keith. What we do know how to do is give you a legendary guest, and today is no different. We got a good one for you today. I'm excited. You guys should be excited. Guy's a legend, but I know what you're thinking. Rex, that's all we've come to know that you deal with. Legends. I'm a legend. Why shouldn't I be rubbing elbows with other legends? So that's what I do. And today is no different. Let me also remind you that I am still looking for virtuoso level players for my own glam sleaze metal super group, Love Sword. I am, of course, the front man, but if you'd like to be the band that backs up the second greatest front man to ever do it, hit me up. Comment sections, slide into my DMs, as the kids say nowadays. I don't know. Find a way. And you too can bear with me here. It's, of course, the No Frills podcast because you also get to see behind the curtain. We don't edit shit here. Why? Because we don't know how. But let me digress because our guest is fucking here. And I'm excited. So let's chop it up with him here on Pod Scum. He's excited. Hello there, sir.
Hello.
I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right, too, because, I'm one of these guys that really likes pronunciation. Michael Stutzer. Not bad?
Stutzer.
See, you know what throws a lot of people off is that U with the 2 dots over it. Yeah. That's a Motley Crue thing, too, right? So technically we should be saying Motley Q.
Yeah, but not that. But it's a German. I think it's the name is from Germany.
Well, for my folks that don't know out there, Michael Stutzer, guitar player extraordinaire from Artillery, metal legends. But one thing I'd like to ask right off the rip though is why the fuck have you not gotten bigger here in the fucking States? That bugs me.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because we're Danish. I don't know. But we always have a good time in the United States when we play there, and I know we have a lot of people who like us. So
right,
and we go to play United States again in late September and October. So we're going to New York in mid October. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
When you guys play like Europe though, what are the big glaring differences that you see between audiences in the States and over in Europe? Because there's obviously big differences, I think, right?
Yeah, and maybe because last time we played in the United States was in I think 2016, and I think we have some really good shows there. There were also some shows, like in the I think this was in maybe Texas or something like that. There was not so many people, but some of the other shows was really good. But I think in Europe have a bit more fans, because the United States has more different kinds of people who like different kinds of music. For example, Germany have a really good, really big crowd
Yeah.
to play there. And if you compare with South America, for example, they are really unique. That's totally crazy. We've just been there in last end of last year. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, they get very excited about their metal in other countries. They really do, especially down in South America. They're really rabid fans down there.
They are totally rabid and really into it. It's really, really cool.
Well, I want to start right off the rip here. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, and I'm sure I would hear about it in the comment section. The last album was X in 2021. I'll just, I'll get it out of the way now. We will expect new Artillery music when?
The plan is to have a new album out, I think, about February, March next year.
Okay.
But we already recorded a live album, so maybe that become before that, because we played at the festival in Denmark called Copenhagen, and we recorded all the show there. So that's going to be the first.
Well, I certainly, and I'm sure your fans would certainly echo this and want to send this message out. Obviously, condolences towards the band. You guys have suffered some loss in March. In this past March, unfortunately, Joshua, was killed in a vehicle accident, right?
Yes, he was hit by a bus. It was very tragic, and he was a very good friend of mine. So it was really tough.
Yeah. Now, as somebody that's playing music with a guy like that, how do you make the decision with you being like one of those, the only, really surviving original member of that group at this point? How do you soldier on after something like that? I mean, and how long before you soldier on? Is there like a time period like where you say, hey, do we still want to do this? Or, when's the proper time to look for a replacement?
Yeah, I know Josh is so good that I knew he would say to me, "You don't dare to stop. You have to play the music. I know you love the music so much, so you don't stop. And the same as when we lost my brother, he also said that if anything happened to me, don't stop, play. Yeah, I love to play music so much. So I really don't know what to do. So if I don't play, I really love to be out there play for the fans and touring and recording new albums and stuff like that. I really love it. I can't stop.
How early on in your life did you know music was going to be the career path you were going to take? Did you have aspirations of doing anything else?
Yeah, I was educated like a technical drawer, to the start. And in 1982, when we started to play in Artillery, I've been playing music for, I think, 2 years before. And when we started Artillery, we knew that that kind of style we was playing, it was really, was really unique in Denmark, because nobody played that style at all. So that was a dedication to do something, and really had to inspire us to say, when we listened to the first, one of the first songs who inspired us in Artillery, Except Fast as a Shark, was the song who said, "Oh, we're going to do more heavy, and we're going to do it this way," And ever since that, we have had that feeling.
What is the creative process like when you guys get together to make an album? With you being, as I said earlier, the only original member left, do you bring in all the ideas, or do you open up that door for it to be a collaborative effort? Do all the guys have input?
Yes, of course I come with a lot of material, because I have been there for so long time. But also on the X album, for example, the new guitar player Crane also came with a lot of stuff. So we kind of combine that, because I don't want to be it's only my opinion. I also like it's like a band. There is a band, and of course people have good inputs. We will use that.
What was it like when you guys were going through COVID? That was obviously a worldwide thing. Everything was locked down. We were all quarantined. What was that time like for you? Did you create a lot? Was it a fruitful time for you? Did you get a lot of creating done, or did you use it as a period to just kind of sit back and like rest? What was that time like for you?
The funny was we was on a tour in Asia where we played I think Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, and Australia, New Zealand, and on the way back in Russia. So we played there. I think just 14 days before it all closed down, and we just get back to Denmark in the last minute, So that was really tough, But when we get back home, we still meet and rehearse and make some new stuff and stuff like that. And of course we couldn't play as much. I think we played 2 or 3 shows with sitting people or something with mask on and everything like that. So there's not very much on the tour front. But I still think we got a lot of things going in the rehearsal and have a lot of good time and meeting and have a beer and stuff like that was really great, because everything was locked down. So we really need to see each other and say, how is things working, So that was cool.
Do you look back at, obviously, you mentioned, you guys got everything kicked off and started very early 80s. Do you look at you guys as, and obviously I mentioned I don't believe you get the credit that you deserve, but do you look at it like you guys are pioneers of the thrash metal scene too? I mean, obviously we hear a lot over here in the States about the Big Four, and we've got certain bands that get a lot of credit in the thrash metal community. You guys don't seem to get that same credit, but do you believe in your own mind, though, that you guys were at the forefront of that scene?
That's what people are telling us, and I really don't thought about that at that time, because we just wanted to play music and just wanted to get it a bit faster. In the first period, people said to us, "You're sounding like a punky episode as Motorhead."
Yes,
they didn't call us fresh at the start. That was first in 1984, 83. They started to say you sound like the music is still like the Bay Area fresh, for example. And then we didn't. What is a Bay Area? And I heard the first Metallica album, and I said, "Oh, that's cool. That's really cool." And then we also was inspired by those bands, of course.
Sure.
So, but I think we are so old, so people can say that we were very early on. I know that James Hetfield once in an interview said that they even was inspired by us. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
And in 1984, when Metallica recorded Ride the Lightning, they were rehearsing down in our rehearsing room, because we had a split room with the Merciful Fate at that time. And Merciful Fate was on tour, and the studio Sweet Silence was just upstairs. So at that time, they came in our rehearsal room and played there. And that was really cool.
Who are the first guys that really got you excited about guitar? Obviously, I'm sure you've been on record numerous times, stating who your influences are. And I don't want to word it that way, asking you who your influences are. But who are some guys that really get you excited when you hear them play guitar? Who are guys that you love to hear play?
Is it today or in the start?
It just in your whole career. Who are guys that you're a big fan of, their guitar playing?
Yeah, I have a lot of good guitar players, and they are going from all back to Jimi Hendrix up to Gary Holt from Exodus. I really have a lot of in Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy was one of my great way to try to play guitar.
Yeah.
And I also like the Chris Oleria from Sabotage, and I have a lot of good guitar players. There's so many good guitar players, And John Iommi for Black Sabbath has inspired me a lot, also in the riffing way. And I can tell you, even a blues guy as Johnny Winter has taught me a lot in the way to make the feeling, And I really love guitar players. Maybe that's why I play guitar.
When you go off and tour nowadays, because obviously, I'm 50 years old, obviously we start to realize we can't quite do what we did back when we were in our 20s. What's touring like for you now that you've gotten older? What's your itinerary like? Do you go and just do a few dates and come home? Do you like to go out for a long period of time? How has that changed for you as you've gotten older?
It's about how the offer is, is it a good offer to play a lot of shows? I play a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And I love to go out touring, and we're going to play with Exciter here in mid May, where we are doing a 1.5 week together, and we go, as I said, to the United States, where we play for the 28th of September to the, I think, 17th of October. So I just played in South America. We was all there in almost 3 weeks. So we still go now to play, and I still love to play. That's one of the best things, I think.
Yeah. Well, the music business, obviously the music business, and I've talked about this on here a lot of times, the music business is obviously very different from what it once was in terms of album sales and, how bands are able to make a living or struggle to make a living nowadays, with these musical platforms and whatnot. You guys, being an old school band, when you release music, is it something that you conscientiously really give a lot of thought to in terms of the format you're going to release it in? Like, you guys still seem to like to release full-length albums, right? You're not going to do singles or EPs or anything like that. You guys still like to do full-length albums.
Yes, because I always had that, buying an album, if I said one album, for example, the first Deep Purple in rock, for example, if you have that full album, that's a really cool album. If you don't have 2 or 3 songs, it will never be the same. So
right.
I like those full albums because that's how the band is.
Yeah.
I don't want to make one single and one single there and then nothing else. That's boring.
Yeah.
You have to have an album. And also, I still have I think 5,000 CDs and 2,000 vinyls and
yeah. And that's quite a collection.
Yeah, I still buy albums, So that's how I like it. I love to have the physical, in my hand.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So, with your musical career, is artillery your main focus, or are you a guy that will go off and do other projects or other endeavors, or do you just focus on artillery?
At the moment, I just focus on artillery. I really don't need to be in other parts, because I love this so much.
Right.
Maybe someday I will want to do a solo album, just to have some other elements in my guitar playing. For example, as I told you, start to listen to the 70s to put those in. But artillery is my focus, and I love to do that.
What was the conversation like? Now, rewinding a little bit to earlier in our conversation, you had mentioned that when your brother was passing away, that he also wanted you to go on with the music. Did you ever have any doubts at that time? Like, hey, this is a band that me and my brother were in together. I don't know if I want to continue on without him, or was there never any doubt?
To be honest, on the first day after, it was really tough. But he said to me when he was very sick at the end, you don't dare to stop. Don't do it. I want you to keep on. And I think it's also a way to honor him, because he wrote some really cool songs like Comaniac Terror Sport, for example. So it's really also a way to honor him, And we did the single, The Last Journey. We did it for him.
Right. When you guys may sit down and write songs, obviously there's a lot of, thrash music in general is a lot of high octane, a lot of angst and anger in the music. Where do you draw your creative inspiration from? Are you a guy that gets this anger or gets this creativity from the news, from the newspapers, from what's going on in the world? Like, where do you draw your inspiration from?
Yeah, of course, something from the news could always be inspiration. And also when you're touring, you see a lot of things in different countries who could inspire you.
Sure.
For example, when we wrote the song Comaniac, it was written in while we were on a train in Russia. We were listening to Eastern music, they were playing in the train. So yeah, we get a lot of inspiration from what we are doing, and also what happened in this world, So many bad things is appearing, and people still don't stop it, So yeah, that's inspired us a lot, and you can see that in our songs.
I talk to a lot of, obviously I talk to on here to a lot of very well-established musicians like yourself, but I also talk to a lot of bands or guys in bands that are kind of just starting out. And, you know, as I mentioned, the music business has changed so much. Do you ever get young musicians, you know, on tour or out in your travels that come up to you and ever pick your brain for advice? And if so, what do you tell a young musician on how to navigate their career nowadays? Because it's not very easy anymore. The formula used to be a lot simpler. You know, a label showed interest in you, you got a record contract, you had label support, all those good things started to happen for you, and those doors opened up for you. But what do you tell a young musician now? Because that formula isn't the same anymore.
That's true. I always say to people on the first line, keep on believing in what you're doing. Try to be original, and don't expect to be a superstar or anything. You really had to love the music, because do you not love the music, you can do this. Because it's tough. It's really tough sometimes, you know. All the waiting time when you're waiting in the airport, waiting for the other bands to play and stuff like. You do a lot of things while you're waiting. If you got paid for the waiting time, you would be a millionaire.
Yeah, that's true.
so don't expect to be a rock star, but have a good time. And if people had told me, because when I started to play, that I will be playing in 67 countries, you know, I would have said to them, but for now, I have succeeded in doing that. And that's one of my biggest goals, to come to new countries, you know, and play. And that's really, really cool. You know, been playing in China, Peru, Turkey, anyway, you know, that's so cool. I would never have been in those countries if I didn't play the music, you know.
And when you look at your contemporaries in the thrash metal scene, specifically this week, we've gotten a new album from Metallica. We got a new album from Overkill the other day. When you look at other bands that are in the same vein, in the same genre that you're in, how do you assess your peers? Who's out there right now, you know, doing thrash music or music like Artillery does that you're a fan of, band wise? I know you mentioned Gary Holt, so I'm sure you're a fan of Exodus. What other bands are out there that do what you guys do that you love?
I think you mentioned Overkill. I think that they have done a lot of great albums. Yeah, I always think that they kept their style, you know, in many ways. If you talk about the new Metallica album, I know people is very, many of them are very, you know, sad about what they're doing, and some love it. But I think those three songs I've heard up to now have been okay. I think there were two of them were really good, and I think Metallica didn't need to play, you know, because they have so much money. So they're only playing because they love to play still. And I think people should remember what Metallica have done for the scene, you know. They've done so much for our kind of music, you know. And some people sometimes forget that, and that's pity, I think.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I look at those two bands and I think Overkill have been very consistent. You know what you're going to get with an Overkill album. They're 20 albums in, and it just seems like it's pedal to the metal all the time with them. Now, obviously, Metallica albums have been very polarizing. People have loved some of them. People have hated some of them. But do you think do you think it's always good to stick with a certain formula if it works, or do you think it is good to change your sound once in a while?
I think both ways, because some bands had to play almost the same style. If AC/DC suddenly did make a jazz album, you know, people would say, "What?"
I know, yeah.
But I think Metallica is more. I don't say I love all what they have been doing, but they are more. What you call it, more try to do something different, and I think they follow their heart many times, and that's why people get so mad about them sometimes, because they do sometimes do things where people say, "What the fuck is that?"
I know. Yeah, right.
But I think also a band like Sabotage, for example, have changed a lot in their style through the time, and I think sometimes it's good, because if you have heard 25 albums with AC/DC in a row, you will be a bit bored, I think. But still, some good songs in between. So that's not it. But I think it's cool also for a band like Black Sabbath, for example, has been sounded very different about how the singer is, and I really love Black Sabbath for that, because that's one of those bands who have made most albums really good. You know.
Yes. Yeah. You also mentioned Merciful Fate. Now they're obviously out touring, and they're back out there doing their thing, and they're quite a force. You mentioned them earlier. What's your relationship with Merciful Fate?
I'm really good friend with both Hank Sherman and Michael Denner. In fact, we played some shows where Michael Denner was guesting us, and we called that we played 6 songs, Merciful Fate songs, together with him, and we called it Ardennery.
Yeah, so, and King Diamond, and King Diamond is just a criminally underrated singer, though. I mean, just one of the greatest.
Yeah, he's also original, because he was starting that kind of style very early, you know. And even in the old days, you know, when we had the rehearsal room, when we made the one of our first demos called Shellshot, King Diamond was strumming us in his van out to the studio.
Yeah.
So that's really fun to think about today.
Now, when you see a band like Pantera now getting out and doing this reunion with Dimebag and Vinny, the brothers, obviously no longer with us, are you in favor of a move like that, or do you think that that they should call it something else, or that they shouldn't be out doing it?
I think it's really tough to say, because I haven't seen them play. I know that I come here to Copenhagen, but I think it's a little bit weird, because Dimebag was so unique, and but yeah, I had to hear it before I can say it, really. But they had some good songs, you know, so that's cool to hear those songs again.
Yeah, it does. It kind of visits it on a new generation of kids who, and the music stays alive. And I do think that they've got a couple of guys in the band with Charlie from Anthrax and Zach Wilde. I do think they've got good guys in there playing the parts.
Yeah, of course. It's very good musicians, no doubt about that. Zach Wilde is a really good guitar player, you know. I can get a little bit bored of him sometimes, because he has to do everything in every song, you know. But he's a good guitar player. That's true.
When you see us here in the States, honoring Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax with with labeling them the Big Four, do you think that's a fair assumption of the best 4 thrash bands, or do you think that that's unfair and that should be opened up to include more thrash bands? And I'm not just saying Artillery. I'm just saying, is that a pretentious thing to do? Should there be more bands included in that list?
Yeah, sure. I think especially Exodus is missing there.
Yes.
Because Exodus has been so original and so ground based from what they do, you know, and they always have been some really good albums, you know. So yeah, I think Exodus should have been there. Of course, Testament maybe also. So there's many good bands, you know. Even a band like Forbidden, for example, also. I think there's a lot of good bands there. But of course, the 4 biggest, the most for selling, I think.
Yes.
So that's maybe there. Because
now, when I ask you this question, I'm not saying by any means, Michael, that we want you to go anywhere. But have you ever given a thought or a timetable on how long you want to do this for? Obviously, there's not a retirement age in music, but some people, they don't want to still be getting up on a stage when they're 70, 80 years old. And then there's people like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards who are still getting up on a stage at 80 years old. Have you given any thought consciously to like, geez, I don't want to still be doing this at a certain age, or you just play it by ear?
I just play by ear, because as long as it's fun, as long as people are coming to see us play, why stop?
Right. Yeah.
That's of course, if you got something disease or anything, you can do it maybe. But as it's now, it's fun. You know, I have so much fun playing. You know.
Yeah.
So I could.
And do you feel like this lineup that Artillery currently has right now is a strong unit? And, you know, going forward, you've got a pretty solid lineup right now, because obviously you see a lot of bands with a lot of ex-members, you know, people can get jaded, you know, oh, things aren't going as well. You know, I'm going to jump off the train here. You know what I mean? You know, I want to go in another direction. People lose interest. You know, it's a very hard road right now trying to make it in the music business. Do you feel like this is a lineup that's really invested and is not going anywhere?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, we just lost our drummer, and we got a very young drummer with us now, who is playing really good, and he's a good guy, you know. But you never know 100% how things is going. You know, me and Peter has been in the band for a very long time. You know, Peter's been since 1988. So yeah, but we have good friendship, and the new guitar player Crane had been playing with us in I think 5 or 6 years now, right? So we have some really good friends. Also, we also do things beside the bands, you know, go out to eat together sometimes and have a beer together sometimes. It's not like you just meet there and only play, you know.
And I think that's good. I think that's good. I think that's good. I think a lot of bands, I think you hit a nail on the head right there. I think a lot of bands do stop seeing each other on a social level.
Yeah. And also heard many bands just rehearse, you know, like sitting at home and have it over internet. And I can't do that. I have to be in the rehearsal room and, you know, look at you in the eye and have a beer and play, you know. That's more important.
Obviously, we see, when you get out on tour right now, though, obviously being in this scene for a long time, you guys are known for a very high energy, you know, high octane show. Have you had to make changes over the years as you've gotten older with still being able to bring that same energy on stage? Like, what changes as you get older? Like, you know, you got to stretch, warm up a little bit more, you know, take a couple of aspirin, how do you keep putting on those kind of shows as you get older?
I think at the moment I don't have any problem with that. You know, I can still do maybe 99% of what I always could do. You know, sometimes if it's very hot, it can be a bit difficult to play. You know, because you get more. But I think I don't have any problems like that else.
So well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
I think health is paramount, and you know, obviously, obviously taking care of yourself on the road has got to be very important. You know what I mean? Like, but as I mentioned, we can't do the stuff we did when we were 25 years old anymore. You know, it gets harder. You know, I know I feel it some days.
yeah, of course. I may turn out to be 63 very soon. You know. And of course, I'm not 20 anymore. But as long as the music keeps you young, I think you can do it.
You know what would you love this band to be remembered for? Like, if you could look back on your legacy, and I mentioned Overkill being a very consistent band. I believe you guys are in that same category of being very consistent. You know, Artillery certainly has a sound that's unique and it's all their own. But what would you really want this band to be remembered for? You know, when all the dust settles and you guys leave a legacy behind, or what would you want that to be?
I think the most thing that the people remember us for have good hook lines, good riff, and a band who live delivery whatever we can. You know, really want to do it for the people. You know, that's really what I hope people will remember us for, and can remember the songs. You know, I'm still very proud when people come and say, for example, that Comaniac is one of the best songs thrash bands have made. So I was really proud about that. You know. That's really cool, and people still come and say your new album is also very good and stuff like that. That's cool.
It is a very awesome album. It is a very awesome album. 2021's X. Why X? Is that album number 10?
Yeah, number 10. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's very obvious. And also X could be for the unknown. You know, for things you don't know.
Right. So when you guys go out and tour, when you guys go out and tour, do you guys pick which bands that you go out with, or are there certain tour packages that you guys, you know, pick and choose and like to do, or will you guys just go and play anywhere that'll have you?
Mainly we play everywhere if you can, because as I said, we love to play and get new places to play, and but of course we also really love to play with bands we hadn't been playing together before. Now as I told you, we're going to play with Exile. That's really cool, because Heavy Metal Mania, Exile was one of my first album I bought, you know, with the more speedy sound of heavy. So that's cool to play with them, for example. And when we played in Japan with Exodus, for example, was one of my highlights also. So there's been many good things, you know, and everywhere we can play, we will go if things is in order, you know.
And now, will you look back on this interview and be excited that you met Diamond David Lee Roth Jr.?
Yeah, I would say that.
I mean, take one look, Michael. Is it not undeniable? I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it, right? You can see it.
Yeah. So if you can get Eddie Van Halen in there too, so that's cool.
I just want a little bit of the Van Halen money. That's all. Yeah, I just want him to acknowledge that he has a son here in upstate New York. That's all, Michael. That's all. You know.
Thanks.
I don't need much. I don't need much, Michael. You know. I mean, I'm a man of simple needs. You know.
Yeah, I can hear
that. So, how is the music scene in Denmark? Is there a great music scene in Denmark?
Yeah, I think if compared to Denmark, it's a very small country. You know, 6 million people is living there, and maybe that's a third of what lives in New York. So it's a very small country. I think we have a good scene. We have a lot of death metal, of course, and we have many new upcoming thrash metal bands. We have a band called Impalers, Demolizer. We have a lot of coming stuff. That's cool, I think. And many of those bands is giving us very good words. You know, always say to us that we have inspired them to play. So I think it's a cool scene. Yeah.
One thing that Denmark does have is fucking artillery, and that's all they need, right?
I can hope that, but also for me, the best band ever came out of Denmark is Merciful Fate. No doubt about that.
Yes, yeah. We got to give credit where credit is due. But listen, Michael, it has really been an honor getting a little bit of time here to speak to you, and I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much, sir. I'm a longtime fan, and you know, it has really been an honor and a privilege to get a little bit of time here to speak to you. Thank you so much for doing it. Hopefully, we can keep in touch, and when the new album comes out, we'll do it again.
Yeah, sure. And as I said, we will play in New York with my good friend Ed Farsley, if you know him, at St. Vitus in New York. I don't know if you know the place.
Okay.
But we're gonna play there in October. So if you are around, come down and say hi.
I will. I will definitely do that. Michael Stutzer, thank you so much. It has really been an honor. Thank you so much. And look forward to new music from you guys. Everybody can find you guys online, right? On all the music platforms. Go out there and get on Google and crunch away and look for Artillery.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Yes. See you.
All right.
Take
Later,
care.
buddy. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now we get to watch him as he tries to exit the room. Come on, Michael. You can do it, buddy.
Yeah.
Red button at the bottom. Red button at the bottom with a phone on it.
Yeah.
There it is. There he goes, folks. Fucks. What the hell was I? That is the great Michael Stutzer from a great and criminally underrated thrash band from Denmark called Artillery. If you don't know, you fucking ought to know. Their last album was 2021's X, because it was album number 10. And that's a music legend right there. That's a thrash legend, a thrash pioneer, a band that does not get the credit that they are due, but they rock balls with the fucking best of them. Go check out all things Artillery. I thank Michael Stutzer for coming on here, man. That was such an honor, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until we meet again here on Pod Scum, remember to Take it easy and keep it sleazy.